Take your time, Phil.
Good evening, guys. It's should we start again already?
Start again.
Good evening, guys. It's all Leeds TV. It's Phil, and somehow I've ended up with these two. Scott, Martin, how are we both? Good evening. Are you
Very good.
looking forward to the weekend?
I'm very good, thanks. Very good.
Yeah, good. Looking forward to the weekend. Hopefully. Ciao from Milan as well, by the way.
Ciao.
There we go. Ciao, Bella.
Lovely of you to join us wherever you're watching. Obviously, we are here to discuss Southampton tomorrow. It's been a really boring 2 weeks, again, as usual, because they always are. Jesus, we've got people from everywhere today, haven't we?
That is Swedish.
We are international tonight.
Yeah.
I think they're all been following you because of the backyard links, you think?
No.
No. All right, okay.
Nobody watched that. Nobody watched that, so I don't have brought anyone with me.
Well, we watched it, didn't we, Martin?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch it.
You have to watch it, though. You produced it. Well, yeah, so how bored have you been for the last week and a half, 2 weeks then, Martin, with the wonderful international break, having no Calvin or Bamford in the England squad? It's shit, innit?
Yeah, I've not watched anything. I won't put myself through the torture of watching Southgate's England if we don't have Calvin to focus on, or Bamford looking lonely on the bench. But it's okay. We're back. We're nearly back now. We'll see the boys tomorrow. So
yeah,
all's well now.
And you, Scotty, have you been bored, or have you been trawling through Twitter and making endless graphics for the wonderful channel that you are doing so much work for?
I have been multitasking. I feel like I'm my wife this past week because I've been doing so much. And as we all know, our other halves do so much for us. So I just want to throw that out there and hopefully she'll leave me alone. But no, I'm
100%
no,
she's in the room.
She's right there. I've been spending my shop local voucher at the Leeds shop in Belfast and just sort of being a wee bit upset that Northern Ireland were cheated out of qualification because of dodgy officiating. But sure.
I'm not gonna lie, I genuinely have no idea what you're even talking about. I can't be asked.
Jamal Lewis got a second yellow card for taking 23 seconds to take a throw in, and that's not a lie. A second yellow, and that was awful. It. I mean, and it was horrendous. He could have.
Let's be honest. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not a Northern Ireland fan. I wouldn't even class myself as an England fan. But as someone who has to go through watching England, I can tell you, mate. Honestly, I genuinely like the tournaments when we get knocked out quicker. Anyway, I know it's not a popular English fan opinion, but you're not missing much. You get there, you get dicked by a few good teams, then you go home. If you're lucky, you don't get dicked and you get to a final, and then you're more hurt when you go home. So one way or another, you're better off just not qualifying. So.
Yeah.
But you do generally do better when you have Calvin Phillips on your side.
Yeah. You get to the final when you have Calvin Phillips in.
England, you rubbish like Calvin. No.
I've just remembered as well, Scotty, while she's in the room, wish the missus a very happy sixth anniversary from us.
Sixth.
Yeah.
No,
well done for putting up with him for 6 years.
Yeah, happy anniversary. Cheers.
She's left that room now.
What? She's left you? That's not.
No, she's left that. She's away to make use of the ironing board I bought her. I'm going to get hit with that ironing board. Right, let's get to it. Let's get into business.
Scotty, I mean, I know it's normally me telling you off for veering off.
Yeah.
I need to ask this question. In front of your face, is that a microphone?
Yes.
I can just see something shiny pointing towards your beard, and it's your
Hang on,
mate. Oh yeah. No, you don't need to move it. I was quite liking it.
I thought you were offended. I thought you were offended by my shiny microphone.
He was fascinated by it.
Yeah. Look, ooh, shiny. Yeah. Anyway,
shiny.
So tomorrow, obviously, I assume all three of us aren't going to the game.
No.
Sad, or I must admit, I'm kind of relieved. I wouldn't want to go off that way.
I wouldn't have minded to go, but it's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a tough game tomorrow, but I'm not. I would have liked to go. I think we have got a good chance of getting a result.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded being at that one, but being where I am, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, of course.
I think it'll be a good game tomorrow. I really do. I think it's going to be a great quality game of football. But we'll get there when we get there.
We will get there.
We'll get there. I'm just letting Phil just take the natural progression.
There's nothing natural about either of this. Like, just the three of us being here and getting through an hour without offending anybody, getting in trouble, or just generally actually sticking to some sort of running order. There's no point writing it won't happen. So we'll just sort of wing it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Good place to start is always Bielsa's press conference. Martin, I feel like we may as well just let you give us the news. I think everybody's probably aware. Bamford, no. Ayling, no. Koch, no. But what do you have, if anything, on the Raphinha situation?
Well, it's also up in the air. It depends what Bielsa thinks when he comes back into the country. Because personally, myself, I wouldn't risk him. I think it's too much of a risk. He's going to be fatigued. He's going to be jet lagged.
Yeah.
He might not even be his best, but who knows? He could just get put on the bench and brought on if we need him. That's what I think is the most likely thing to happen with Raphinha. The other injuries that I've got, not too unexpected. We expected those players to be still injured now. So, team is where it is. We've still got enough players to put out a good squad. Just be without our shining light from Brazil.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, obviously top scorer is Raphinha. Most assists, I know it's only 2, but it's Bamford. I know it's not a big deal calling him the biggest creator in the team when he's got 2 assists, but you take out your best goal scorer and your best goal creator. I must admit, it still doesn't make me feel anything other than really confident. What about you, Scott? Are you worried about anything that Bielsa said yesterday?
Nothing new, really.
No.
It's the same stuff. It's that whole Calvin Phillips should be able to play, and if Raphinha has slept enough, he should be able to play.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting Raphinha to play. The one that sort of, if you watch the full press conference, there was a slight mention about Lewis Bate, and he's someone that I'm really, really keen to see push forward. The 3 Leeds players in that England under-20s game were commanding. Bate gets a goal, and then he gets a knock. So now he's on the injured list. So that backup list that we have is starting to get a little bit thin in the areas that we can't afford it to be thin, really. But
on the bright side, Adam Forshaw's on the bench.
I was about to say the same thing. We've got Koch, who's going over to the US to have a hopefully minor operation on his pubis.
But his pubis
go all the way to America for someone to look at your pubis.
Yes. Yeah.
Koch had to go to the States to get his pubis fixed. That's what we're going with. That's the headlines in America.
Yeah.
Koch
genuinely
gets
not even
pubis
like
fixed.
an attempt to get us demonetized. That is genuinely what has happened.
Yep. It's true, Bill. True, Bill.
Yep.
And then, so I think the natural place to go next, we'll do a 1 to 11 together, and we'll try and. Are we going for what we expect or what we want?
Do both.
Do both.
What you expect and what you would want to see.
Right. Goalkeeper, I think both of those answers are still the same, surely.
Yeah, clearly, Elijah Capriel, right?
Yeah. Get him back.
Yeah.
Is there any chance of bringing back Kezia? No.
Lasted 10 minutes. Scott, how do I boot him out?
That's just that one position where you don't need to discuss it too much.
No. No, right. So we know it's a back three. I'm going to go expected Pascal Struijk, Liam Cooper, Diego Llorente. And to be honest, I think I'd be happy with that. Are you guys the same?
Yeah, I'd be happy with the Llorente in the right centre back, Struijk in the middle, and Cooper on the left. That's what I'd expect, and that's what I'd be happy with as well. Cresswell was the only one.
Who comes out if Struijk comes in?
Well, that'll be based on
you mean
KD's
who
fit.
comes in if Struijk isn't in? You mean?
So Struijk didn't start the last game. He'll have to come in from the Watford game. Who comes out? I think
that's a harder one. But if I had to pick someone, it would probably be. If I had to say expected, then I'd say Shaq will lose out. Jamie Shaq will lose out.
I agree.
But I would prefer to see Dallas lose out.
Yeah,
I love Dallas,
agree.
but he does need a little break from the side.
Yeah.
To rediscover his best form, as it said. And Shaq hasn't done anything wrong to be dropped. He's been one of the best performers in the side.
To be fair, that's pretty much all I was going to say. Cheers for ruining it, Chris. Fucking kill the suspense while you can, pal.
You're not on this.
He's
I know,
right.
Chris.
I would like
Keyboard warrior.
Scott, you're the biggest Shackleton advocate going. I mean, I assume you want to see that back three was Shaq's right wing back, not Dallas, right?
Yeah. I think where is that? I'll put that up again there. I think that will be as it is, providing. Oh no, he has Calvin in there as well. No, you see, I would have that slightly different. I think Pascal plays if Calvin isn't going to be 100%.
Right. So who?
Otherwise, I would see Phillips be dropping back into that back three. He's done it before. I wouldn't be surprised him doing it again. And that middle too, it's going to be Dallas and Klitsch, surely.
If Phillips does drop into defence, and it would have to be Click and that Dallas in the middle. But
yeah,
I expect Phillips to play in the defensive midfield spot. Especially with us having three first-team centre-backs fit. I can't see us.
That's a miracle itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Three fucking centre-backs. And they're not injured, any of them.
Plus a backup is available as well in Cresswell.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, I would personally prefer to see those three centre-backs in the back three. Calvin in his usual place. Firpo will continue at left wing-back. I think it was better against Watford. So maybe that proverbial monkey's off his back in that he wasn't in form at all, and now he's had one good game, and hopefully that'll kick him on. I would like to see Jack right wing back, but I just don't expect Dallas to ever be dropped. To be honest, I think Luke Ayling, Stuart Dallas, they're both kind of the same in that if they're 100% fit, they start regardless of whether they're playing shit. And
I agree with that.
Look, we never want to hammer the players, but those two in particular are the ones that seem to have got most of the criticism for the performances so far this season. And obviously, for me, Shackleton, when he's come in, it's not like he's just done a job. It's not like he's been competent or okay. Like he has genuinely been not man of the match in every game, but up there in the top 3 or 4 performers on the team when he's been in every game. And I think the link up between him and Raphinha, obviously, I know we'll get on to Raphinha, and most of us don't expect him to start, but the relationship growing between Raphinha and Shackleton is starting to fill me with more confidence than the relationship between Ayling and Shackleton. Martin, I know you're a massive defender of Luke Ayling, so I will let you jump in and hammer the there if you really want to.
No, I'm happy with Shackleton keeping his place for the time being. While he is performing well, that's fine, and he needs to get more game time. He's been deserving of that for a long time. He's been waiting patiently for his chance. He's had to put up with his fair share of injuries, right in moments where he could have had a run on the side. So I'm okay with it. He's got some work that he has to do on his game around the box, in my opinion. That's the only thing that I think Ayling has over him when Ayling's on form, that is. Recently this season, he hasn't been as much on form. But he needs to try to get more runs going into the box to try to get to the byline like we see Ayling do quite often when he's at the best for his game. That's the only thing I'd like to see from Shackleton is a bit more driving into the box to help Raphinha out.
It's all gone quiet because we're all looking at this. I'm not a fan of the idea of Jamie Shackleton. Sorry, Russ. Jamie Shackleton as the 10's not doing it for me, mate.
No.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if you swap Shacks and Click around, but even then, like, I'm just not 100. I would say unless there's a lot of injuries, Dallas could do with sitting out again.
A rest. Yeah. I think that's what Dallas needs. I couldn't like. I've been slated for saying it. Obviously, he's my Northern Ireland brethren, but he hasn't been great. And this kind of happened with Klitsch a bit last season.
Yeah.
And his form dipped, and he got benched for a few games, and then he gradually started getting better and better. And by the end of the season, Klitsch was consistent. He wasn't phenomenal, but he was consistent, and he was putting a shift in. Dallas just seems a bit lost at the minute. He really does. You know, is it because maybe the last season or two he's been used to being shipped about different positions? You know, and this season he's been a staple centre mid. There's no challenge there. You know, he hasn't really, I don't know, it just hasn't really clicked for him yet. He just hasn't got going yet. And I think he does. He needs a break to refresh. But again, you know, with that sort of international break, they don't have that Beelzebub type training.
Nah.
Is that good or bad? You know?
Well, it gives them a rest.
I'm going to say bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably good for the sake of like getting a rest and not being fucked all the time. But it's like if you're on a training regime, Chris Kelly would be the person to have this chat with as well. You stick to it. Like I went to the gym for a full year and I was doing really well. And this is like a year and a half ago, and I haven't been back since. And now I've got fatter than I was before I started going. And that's
because you're happy.
No, because I wasn't keeping up to it, mate. So I got myself in a position where I'd taught my body to behave itself and look after itself. And then once you've done that and you slip back into your old routine of drinking beer and smoking fags, then you end up being fatter than you were when you started. So I think that my existential crisis is solved. So I'm glad we had this chat. Martin, help divert me away from this conversation.
Yeah, try to get back on track a bit. So what sort of things are we expecting to see happen tomorrow in tomorrow's game? We all know how Southampton play. How do you think their play style is going to affect us?
I think they're going to have a big problem missing Ward-Prowse for a start. They're going to have a massive problem. Attacking wise, they haven't really been impressive. No. You know, for me, their one sort of shining light attacking was Che Adams, who is injured. You know, so they're going to be relying on Adam Armstrong. The date is it the Danish fellow? I can't even say his name. Landwazimi or something. Alan Duhuze.
That's
the one. Norwegian.
Lost there.
I was close with absolutely none of it, but you knew who I was talking about. No, I think he could, if he shows up, could provide a bit of attacking nuisance for him. But he plays on the right. You know, I don't think he'd be able to handle the high pressing style of Junior Firpo. I think Junior Firpo have him in the bag. You know, so for me, I don't. It sounds horrible, but I just don't see Southampton having anything to throw at us and cause us problems. There's just nothing. Yeah,
I'd agree. To be honest, based on last season, what I expect from them, because it's still 𝐅𝐻𝐻𝐃, I don't expect him to have learnt much. Maybe that's been arrogant, but in all honesty, they pressed us for 20 minutes. Then they got tired, and then we basically could have shagged them all over the park if we wanted to. It was 3-0 at St Mary's, and it got to 3-0, and I was at home with my brother saying, you can see how these lot got dicked 9-0 twice. You really can, because they just capitulate. Like, they don't get me wrong, the first 20 minutes when they pressed us, I thought, we're in for a tough game here. By half time, I was like, right, we're going to walk this. And we did. Yeah. And we did the same when they came to Ellen Road. We genuinely walked it twice. And I remember 𝐅𝐻𝐻𝐃 trying to say like it was closer the second time. Fucking wasn't.
It wasn't. It wasn't even remotely close.
And last season,
I think was that to do with the free kick shout, wasn't it?
Oh, probably.
Was it? There was that whole thing where they took the free kick and scored, but the ref hadn't blew the whistle.
Yeah, but for me, different story. We'll get onto that. Southampton last season, they had two weapons for me. James Ward-Prowse's set pieces. So they got as many free kicks around the edge of our box as they could, and they still didn't score. Mm-hmm. And they had Danny Ings, who was just an absolute scored them anyway. They had those two things last season. They don't have them tomorrow. They haven't replaced either of them with anything better. And that's basically their game plan. Take those away. And, I mean, I've gone quite reserved, and I will go quite reserved on the score prediction. But, I see it being a walk in the park again, to be honest. I've heard people saying I think it's going to be tight, but do you think it's going to be tight?
I do think it's going to be tight. More because of the way they will disrupt our play, not because I'm expecting them to cause us problems attacking. I don't think they will. They obviously they still have some players who are capable of hurting us, especially on the counter attack. But as long as we do our job well, they shouldn't be able to hurt us too much. But we need to get our act together in scoring. We have been mucking not ourselves in the final third, so that's a main reason why I would say that it will be closer than we'd expect because
only because we can't finish them, or because we can't create chances, not because it's going to be a close game.
Not because they're good, but the way they're set up with their high press and with our current indecision in creating chances and finishing those chances. Those two things combined will mean we won't have as many chances as we would expect.
Yeah, I don't think we'll struggle, to be honest. I do think it's going to be... I'd be really disappointed with anything other than 3 points and ideally a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Do you think different, Scott?
No, I agree, but I don't think so much the game's going to be tight. I think the scoreline will be tight.
Right.
If anyone's seen my pre-match, I've already said that I think we'll win 1-0. And that is very unlike me because normally I'm going, we're going to duff them like 17-3, like something outlandish, But I just think with Raphinha being a maybe and Rodrigo not cutting it yet and Bamford being out and then Tyler Roberts being the next go-to attacking option.
Just never.
I don't mean that. I don't mean it in a bad way. I just think that if these guys aren't switched on, if these guys aren't switched on tomorrow and finish the chances, we could be relying on a goal from Diego Llorente to make sure that we'll win. That's the thing.
Liam Cooper's going to twat one from 30 yards. That's how
super duper Liam Cooper.
No, honestly, I just don't see it being a struggle at all. I'd like to see the one thing that Chris has said there. I 100% think needs to happen: a goal for Rodrigo. Obviously, we didn't touch on when we were doing the lineups. We're basically all assuming that Raphinha won't start. Hopefully, he'll be on the bench.
Yeah.
So that means James and Harrison on each wing. Then Rodrigo up front because obviously Bamford's out. Rodrigo needs a goal. I think West Ham and Watford much improved. Like not even just a little bit, a lot better. But he needs a goal.
Still not as good as Newcastle.
No,
he was absolutely fantastic against Newcastle. But again, still no goals. Like
I think he was better in the last two games than he was. I didn't think he played well. I was again in the minority, but. Didn't think he played that well against Newcastle. I thought the whole game in general was kind of disappointing. But Rodrigo, for me, while Bamford is very much close to a comeback, needs to go back. Big time. Even if that means that it's him stating his case to continue in midfield, which nobody wants to see.
No.
I don't care. If it's a goal, and it'll do him some good confidence-wise. And what's his mind?
Well, you touched on it again there about Rodrigo being in midfield. I know some people think he was brought in as the Pablo replacement. He is not a Pablo replacement. He's the backup to Bamford. He's the £30 million backup to Bamford. And if he can't score goals, well, it is. Imagine having a £30 million backup. Like this is where we are. But
see, I'm unsure what he was brought in for, because
No.
the multiple things at play. Like no one thought that Bamford was going to do as well as what he has done in the Premier League.
Yeah,
no one thought that. So it's possible that he was brought in as a first choice striker if Bamford was not able to get the job done. But with also the proviso that he is capable of playing in other positions if we did need him to. He played on the wing a lot in Spain, and so he has that, but not for us. No, we weren't expecting maybe him to be in midfield, but Bielsa is determined to make that one work. So I can see it going back to it when Bamford comes back.
Yeah. Oh, mate, 100%.
Yeah.
It will. Nobody wants it to, but it will.
Yep. And we'll still have that 65th minute sub of Perry Taylor coming on for Rodrigo to make the impact. But yeah,
Should we talk?
I know you're saying about Rodrigo not scoring and stuff, and Bamford's near ready for coming back. But see tomorrow, see if Rodrigo hasn't scored by the 60th minute, and if he's not playing very well, Rodrigo has to come off, and Gelhardt has to come on.
Yeah, that's
he is chomping. He is chomping at the bit, and I don't know why he's not getting a chance.
It won't happen.
Do you know what I mean?
It won't happen.
He bring on Taylor for him.
Yeah,
it's just what it like. And do you know what? People can sit and say, "Oh, don't question Bielsa and all this here." Look, I'm telling you now, if you think that Taylor Roberts is going to make more of an impact than Joffrey, because I tell you what, I give that wee lad 10 minutes and he's getting a goal. 10 minutes.
I do agree with you, but some people might say Fulham.
Yeah, he didn't score at all against Fulham.
He needs a big run. No, he did. He scored his penalty.
But that doesn't count. It's not. It's an open play we're talking about here. But yeah, I'm not doubting Joffrey's ability. I'm not. But Bielsa will blood him properly when the time comes. He will get more game time, and it will happen. He's been on the bench. He's been involved a lot, and it will eventually happen.
Everybody wants it, but it just isn't going to happen.
But I did say this about Jamie Shackleton at the start of the season.
Yeah, no, mate. I've already held my hands up. You were right. I was wrong.
You're never going to hear the end of this. You've actually all laughed at me. In fact, Big Joe, I remember Joe Wyman's comment said, "Get in the bin."
It was literally in the space of like 2 games as well.
Yeah,
like we were all like, "Nah, you wouldn't take anything out just yet." Fucking hell, he was right. Get it out, get it back in. No, you were right. Fair play.
Well, like hopefully Bielsa has he's obviously got the tools there, and he's making ballers out of these players. So,
I mean,
when is the right time to give them the chance against a Premier League side?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see more of the youngsters getting minutes. I mean, especially for me. Instead of the Gelhardt and Greenwood conversation, I think the more pressing matter is midfield and Lewis Bates, someone we've already spoken about. Instead of Stuart Dallas and to an extent, obviously Tyler Roberts, Rodrigo, all sort of failed to properly do a job properly.
Yeah.
There's someone in the under 23s. I know it puts a lot of pressure on him to throw him in there, and that's not what he was bought for this season, but thankfully it's turned a corner and we got the win, and I think we will pick up a bit now. But when it was going bad, I don't see why we don't just sort of go, fuck it, Tyler Roberts, like we've all said, isn't going to come off the bench and change the game. Why don't we just sort of try the Tyler Roberts 1 week? The Tyler Roberts didn't work that week, we'll try Lewis Bate the next week. Then Lewis Bate didn't work, we'll try McKinstry the next week. McKinstry didn't work. Right, we know Gelhardt and Greenwood can both play a bit deeper if they need to. Try one of them in that position. Like, the only thing that I don't like, I never want to criticize Bielsa because I worship the man. He is God, and whilst I think he is the greatest coach of all time, that might be biased. I can accept that he's not the perfect manager. I mean, the Derby playoff semi-final sums that up perfectly for me. Like, no matter what the relationship was with Pontus Jansson, Berardi's on a yellow card in a playoff semi-final. You just take him off because you know Berardi's getting sent off, and then we lose, and just didn't happen. But for me, obviously, when it comes to these sort of things, persist and persist and persist because that is you and that's what you do. But when it's clearly not working to the extent that we had a bit of a to-do last time with Chris about the Tyler Roberts thing, and I will sit here and defend him because I don't really see the need. But when it does get to a point where you and Chris have both said where the stadium falls silent and you could hear a pin drop, the tension...
That knocks his confidence.
Yeah, that can't be any good for him, mate.
No.
So when that is happening, perhaps it is a good time to, not bow down to the masses, but just sort of acknowledge that's not what's right for him. And maybe go, right, Lewis Bate, I know it's not the purpose of you being here, but tough shit, lad. Get on there, do your job. And give it a go, because it's got to be more productive, surely.
Yeah. It has to start trying something else. You know, and as you said, if you're a young guy, what is he, 22?
Yeah,
coming
22.
on to make an impact, like you're being subbed on for a former Spanish international number 9. And to hear the stadium go silent, like that's so much pressure. Like his mental
might be easier.
Yeah,
that motivates you.
At least there's something there. Yeah, it's my heart bleeds for him. It does, but at the same time, I'm going, look, I'm not a Tyler Roberts supporter. I'm a Leeds United supporter. I want to see the team do well. If Tyler Roberts isn't going to cut it, and if he can't handle that pressure, well then maybe he's not the man for the job. And I know that sounds really harsh, but you know, I think we do have to start looking elsewhere.
Yeah, it's a fair assessment right here, right now. The only thing that bothers me is when people rule him out for the future of ever being able to achieve anything.
Yeah.
That's when it's just like, that's just.
But that's when he's liable to go somewhere else and be an absolute baller, and all of us sitting going, how can we let that go? You know, that's how fickle we are. If he went somewhere else and became an absolute baller, we would be all shouting at Raphinha for letting him go.
Yeah,
that's what we're like.
I know the situations are totally different, but we can remember something quite similar with another one of our players, Calvin Phillips. Not long before Bielsa arrived, many of our fans would have been happy for him to just be sold down a river for $1 million to, I don't know, Norwich. Would have been happy for him to be sold for that little. And at that age, he was the same age that Tyler Roberts is now. I'm not saying that Tyler Roberts is going to end up being the same player that Calvin is going to be. No, it won't happen. He won't be as good as.
Doubt he'll get to a Euros final. I will put him out there now.
Well, he is with Wales, so that's maybe hindering him more than his own talent.
They got to a semi a few years ago, didn't they?
True. But I think, especially with all the pressure that's on him when the crowd falls silent when he comes on the pitch, even with that, against Watford, he very nearly came close to scoring a ridiculous goal. He was inches away.
I wish you were here a couple of weeks ago, trying to back with these two. I had him give his fucking ones out. He gave him a 1 out of 10. And then Chris Kelly comes on. He's in the comments. He's like, "Fuck this, I'm logging on." And he comes and tells me, I'm like, mate. I had these two giving me all sorts of grief because I'm wrong. Right, that is the closest I've. No, flash that back up. That's the closest I've ever had to an apology from Chris Kelly. We'll keep that on there for about an hour now.
Chris is actually. I've just seen another comment from Chris, and he's made a really, really good point. That again, another positive of giving another guy from the under-23s a shout is taking that focus off Tyler. And you know, maybe McGurk comes on, Bate comes on, McKinstry, McCann, any of these guys come on, and maybe they don't do so well. And then Tyler Roberts comes on, and he looks even better. You know, there has to be a balance.
Genuinely craving Tyler Roberts coming on because everyone else has failed. I know that's not a nice way to do it, but if it fucking works, mate.
If it helps get his confidence up, no, because I think, I feel bad for him because let's be honest, the kid's mental health right now mustn't be good because if he's coming on and he's getting that reaction, no. But look, as I said before, I support the team, I support the club, not the player, you know. But I think we all just want them to do well, but not at the expense of other players that are really, really busting their ass off, and not at the expense of results. I didn't freeze. I just paused for a reaction there. I think Phil's froze.
No, I'm looking through the comments because I just want to see what Chris is saying now. I'm intrigued.
Says you're never getting an apology.
Yeah, I got what I wanted.
There's also that one.
I was about to say there's that one. So why do you get shouted at whenever I'm on with you? See, whenever it might be because normally my wife is messaging me or banging the floor saying, "Would you shut up? You say we're loud." Oh, there she is, she's shouting now. If you want another iron on board, I'd shut your yap, woman. I'm only joking. Please don't abuse me.
Moving on.
Yes, let's get back on to this.
So, I mean, we've probably already done a bit of touching on the score predictions, but score predictions for tomorrow? Are you two both going like 1-0, 2-1, or 1-0?
I'm sticking with what I've already put out there. I'm just going to stick with my 1-0. I think we easily could win 3, but yeah. I've already said 1-0. I have to stand by it. 1-0, Dan James.
It's a bit disheartening. 9.
2-0.
All right, okay.
Ooh.
But yours is a close 2-0. I mean, mine's a 2-0, but mine's like a 5.
It's a close-ish 2-0. One way you think, how did we win 2-0? It didn't feel like we deserved it, but that's that sort of 2-0.
It's the same numbers, but it's a very different storyline, that, isn't it? So I think 2-0, but should have been 5 or 6. That. Because I think that's kind of what we do at the minute. Like Watford, was that 1-0? Like they are the worst team I've ever seen.
They're dreadful.
Teams
they are. Probably
the best thing they had, and he's gone.
Oh, like imagine like losing to us, and then your manager getting sacked the next day. Like surely then Watford fans are sitting right now, right? We're not in a relegation battle. We're in a battle to see who comes bottom between them and Norwich. Who's coming bottom, Watford or Norwich?
It cannot be that bad, surely. Like I can't imagine anyone being quite as bad as Watford genuinely were. Like the amount of passes just straight out for a throw-in, and just. I know this might sound mean, but the sheer size of Danny Rose, like I can't think of a player in the Premier League that can look that unfit.
Have you seen? Maybe not Premier League, but have you seen Nabil Fekir recently?
Have you seen the Samir Nasri pictures as well? That's quite funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's like a Wayne Rooney project. Like Danny Rose just doesn't give a shit about cutting weight. That's why he hasn't got anywhere good. What body fat? Do they like body fat 703%? It's fine.
It's quite strange that Watford are so bad, considering they've got a couple of really, really good quality players. And that young lad, João Pedro alone, I think he goes to a good club, and he'll be a name.
Ismail Assar is a good player as well.
Yeah.
And they have Emmanuel Dennis on the other wing as well. He's pretty good. But we just smothered them. We didn't give them a chance to do anything. We didn't do a right lot ourselves, to be honest, even though we should have scored more. But I don't know why they was as bad as what they were.
No.
So moving on back onto tomorrow. Do we actually genuinely worry about any individual player of theirs, and equally, who should they be worried about from us?
I think if Bednarek's still there, isn't he? He is.
Yeah.
If Bednarek can't handle Rodrigo, we might see a Rodrigo goal.
Yeah.
You know, I just fail to see anywhere that really sparkles or shines for Southampton. You know, and it's a shame. Like, but I just don't see anything.
There's 2 players for me who I think we need to keep an eye on. If he plays, I think he will with Adams being injured, is Nathan Teller.
Yeah.
If you remember last year, he nearly got a penalty. Yeah. But still, with how much VAR hates us, that is something we have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's all I have to say on Nathan Teller.
So, also, Livramento.
Yeah, I like him though.
He's a cracking little right back, he is, and they do look to get their fullbacks up high. That's how they get their width. So he could hurt us if Raphinha. He will be not Raphinha. Sorry, it'll be Harrison's man. So Harrison will need to be keeping a close eye on him.
An old friend of Lewis Bates from well, not that old, like 6 months ago, but yeah, obviously Livramento. I think if you haven't heard about him, get him in your fantasy team because he's cheap as shit. And
is that the wee Chelsea fullback, isn't it? Yeah.
He's like,
he got there.
He was in the 21s, sorry.
Yeah, I think he got Chelsea's Young Player of the Year.
Yeah, and then I think he got it, and in this voting, Bate came second, or it was the other way around.
Yeah.
But they were basically the best two players from Chelsea's youngsters last year, and they've gone, which says a lot about Chelsea and progressing into the first team.
Yeah, we've got a good comment here.
Go on.
More of a threat from Penn and Teller. Oh, God. I like that one. You're maybe too young to know who they are you?
I know who Penn and Teller is.
Are we gonna talk about the Raphinha?
Yeah, I thought we may as well.
Yeah.
Who wants to go?
Because there's a lot of that going around. There's a lot of it going around. One of you take a lead.
Martin, in fact, can I just sort of set the agenda of this conversation?
Yeah. Get your comments in.
Raphinha, the goals, the price tag, and Oscar, please fucking watch this. Raphinha versus Calvin Phillips. And Martin, you go first.
Well,
what
can we say about the performances of Raphinha in the international break? Just phenomenal. He's got 4 goal involvements in 3 games, and he only started 1 game. He's really just showing Brazil how it's done, and him and Neymar linking up for that goal on the counter attack. It's so reminiscent of so many goals which we scored ourselves. It was just cut and paste a Bielsa style goal, and it was beautiful. Regards to his future, it does seem more and more that it's going to be very, very difficult to keep hold of him. But it always does depend on what he wants himself. If he's enjoying playing for us, he has still got time on his hands. He does not need to move now for trophies. It depends on what he wants as a player. But when he does come to be sold, we are easily talking 70 million. Won't be as much as Grealish because he isn't English, but 70 million easily. And with regards to the Calvin Phillips and Raphinha debate, Calvin Phillips is much more irreplaceable for Leeds United than Raphinha is. I love both the players. Raphinha brings up a whole lot, but not just what he brings to the team in attack and defence. Calvin is got a special connection to this club, and that it can't be replaced. That's not something that you can just. Oh, let's see who can we buy? You? Oh, no, he's not. It's not Calvin Phillips. He's not the York's Pirlo.
If you want bring context, by the way, there was an argument between me and Oscar, probably midway through last season, where Raphinha started scoring goals, and Oscar's like, "Oh, he's the most important player that we have at the club. He's the most important player to the system." And my point was, well, no, Calvin Phillips is far more important to our system. I can accept that Raphinha is probably a better player, a better technician, but like in terms of the way that we play and going forward and back, there's just no way that you can say that anybody's more important to the actual starting 11. Like, you take Raphinha out, I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have wanted Helder Costa on the pitch anyway, but you put Dan James on, you put Jack Harrison on, or even Helder Costa at the time. Helder Costa replacing Raphinha didn't frighten me like Pascal Struijk or Robin Koch replacing Calvin Phillips. It's the worst thing that can happen to Leeds United, an injury to Calvin Phillips or a suspension. He's the most important player. And I think the argument resurfaced because Oscar has asked if bids come in for the 2 this summer, what are the prices for each? And he thinks that the price would be higher for Raphinha, which I probably can accept is true. But just because of a transfer market value, like you pay more for a striker because they score you goals, that doesn't make them more important than a goalkeeper. It doesn't make them more important than, like, Trent Alexander-Arnold does more for Liverpool than Roberto Firmino, 100% easily. But you'd probably still see stupid transfer fees bandied about, like Liverpool did actually pay for Firmino. Like, people will just pay stupid money for attacking players, and they won't for defensive players unless you're Man United. So that's where this argument's come from. Scott, your take?
It's a kind of a rock and a hard place, catch-22 with Raphinha. First of all, his performances for Brazil, those 3 games, for only starting one. When was the last time you heard of a Brazilian player doing that? It's been a long, long time since a Brazilian player has made that impact in their first international call-up. It's unreal. And if anything, it's an indicator that Raphinha is probably going to be one of the greatest of all time. And I'm saying it now, and people can bookmark that. What's today's date? Today's the 15th of October, 2021, and I'm saying it now. Raphinha will be one of the greatest footballers of all time. And he played for Leeds United. Right? So we'll enjoy him while he's here. What we'll have to remember is he's got 2 more years in his contract after this season. We don't have to sell him. We don't have to do anything. But this is the thing, we don't have to. All these pundits and experts saying, he's signing for Liverpool and he's doing this and that. He's not doing anything. The first thing he done in his interview was he thanked Bielsa and Leeds United and has said that if it wasn't for Leeds United, he wouldn't be playing for Brazil. Liverpool, go back into your wee crack den. He's not coming to the Anfield anytime soon, right? Raphinha he's Leeds right now, right? As of this moment in time. But here's where the catch comes in. See if we don't offer him a substantial bigger contract and he doesn't want to stay, if he's not getting European football, he's most likely going to want to leave. Yes. Our problem is, if we don't sell him this season, no one will buy him the following season because they know they'll get him on a free if they wait 1 more year. So if we are going to sell him, we kind of need to sell him at the end of this season. And that's the problem. I don't want to see him go, and I would love to see him stay 1 more year and hope someone pays something for him. But it's that Erling Haaland thing, you either you wait 1 more year and get him for free, or you pay a price, but it'll be a reduced price compared to what we could get for him at the end of this season, I think. And realistically, I know there's that rubbish English player tax that doesn't exist, but it does exist. It's so ridiculous. But Raphinha is arguably one of the best wingers in this league. How is he not worth more than Grealish? This is what I don't get. Even whenever you go and look on that, there's that website that tells you what a player's currently worth.
Yeah.
Raphinha, when I looked at earlier, Raphinha's currently only worth 55 million. What?
28.
28? I don't know where I'm looking at.
28 on transfer market. I've got it open.
That is mental. I wasn't looking at transfer market. I don't know what the hell I was looking at. 28 million for Raphinha?
But when you think about it, we paid 17 for him. Like, it's only been a year.
I know, but he has to be worth more than that. Like, there's no way we're selling him for less than 70. Like, do you think we will sell him?
I think all of these transfer fees are mad. 100 million.
It's ridiculous.
17 million quid for Raphinha is a fucking good deal. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, it's the best bit of business Order's ever done in his life.
If we would have spent the same amount of money that we spent on Rodrigo, for example, like that 28 million quid, no one would buy that. But at the same time, now if somebody comes to you and says, if someone says to me 100 million pounds, the same as Jack Grealish, like you just have, I'm just sat there thinking, not a fucking chance. It's not going to happen. I mean, 55 million, like that was the number you just said. I think they'd take that. If someone offers us 55 million quid this summer, I'd really struggle to see Leeds saying no to that.
We should not be selling them for less than 70 at the very bare minimum.
Well, that's fine if that's the bar you want to set it at, but
I want to set it at 150. That's the bar I want to set it at.
Mate, 70 million pounds buys you 3.5 more Raphinhas if Leicester can find another one, which why not? He's done it already. The Leicester scouting model is the one that we're going to follow, and it's worked. Yeah. I expect it to work.
It's sustainable, isn't it?
It's shit that we are going to get attached to him. And let's be honest, like the games that I've been to, I said the other night, like me and Oscar at the West Ham game when he scored, I thought Oscar was going to kiss me. I'd never seen the man so happy. And he's got that ability to genuinely put smiles on faces. He's the best player I've seen at Ellen Road in a league shirt in quite a while. He genuinely has the ability to get people off their seats. He's great. But at the same time, 55 million quid. Don't get me wrong, I would say I'd like more, but I reckon if they offer us 55 million quid in the summer, I really would be surprised to see Leeds turn down anything over 50 million. Genuinely, I would.
But didn't we turn down a considerable amount of money for Calvin Phillips when we won the championship?
Yeah,
that was before he'd even played in the Premier League.
That was to get us to the Premier League. Like we couldn't have got up without Calvin Phillips. We're already here now. It's different. It's a completely different scenario. We have an asset now that is worth whatever you want to call it, whether it's 50, 70, 100, whatever you want to call it. We've got a sizable asset in both of them. And if a bid comes in, and going back to Oscar's point, which one are you going to sell? And depending if the transfer fee is identical, say it is 70 million pounds or 75 million pounds for both players, and you have to take one of them, who do you sell for 75 million pounds?
Raphinha.
Yeah, I'd go.
You can buy more wingers. You can't buy another Calvin Phillips.
Absolutely, 100%. You just. As painful as it might be for people to hear and think, bearing in mind what Raphinha has done over the last week, you will find another Raphinha. You will find pacey wingers that are tricky, that will make a difference in scoring goals, assisting, and just generally getting fans off their seat. But you won't find another Calvin Phillips. You will not find anybody that can do that job for £75 million. You just won't.
No, you definitely wouldn't. What he does for the team, you wouldn't be able to replace for that amount of money. Yeah, well, but also we wouldn't be able to attract a player as good as Calvin Phillips.
No,
we wouldn't. We would be able to attract a player who could be as good as Raphinha. I mean, Rene, who we bought Raphinha off. Before Raphinha, they had Ismail Assar. They sold him. They bought Raphinha. When they sold Raphinha, they bought Jeremy Doku. So they have a conveyor belt of really attractive,
decent wingers,
talent. So if Rene can do it in France's League One, we would be able to find another player who would be able to maybe not do exactly what Raphinha can do, but we could buy multiple players who could, with their combined effort, would be able to replace what Raphinha can do. But Calvin, no, you couldn't replace what he does for that money. Only a better club, not a better club, sorry. Only a club in European football can attract that sort of player like Calvin Phillips.
And can I just
imagine?
I don't think I ever actually said I want to accept £50 million for Raphinha. I said if there was a bid of £55 million this summer, wouldn't be surprised to see Leeds accept it. Mate, at least you didn't put Adam Closhaw.
Who? Why? Yeah, this is something I actually seen earlier on Twitter as well. Someone saying that if we had to sell Calvin Phillips, would you look at bringing back Ronaldo Vieira?
No. I don't know what he's like now, to be honest. I've not watched him play. He was not playing
him in ages. Yeah,
he's doing okay, but he's nowhere near the level I think he would have been, obviously, if he stays. I don't think he's anywhere near the level that Calvin's got to. And when you look at the kind of players that we are looking at to possibly either help take some of the slack off Calvin, or the players that we would look to replace Calvin with, I just don't think he's anywhere near the level of player that we would need to replace a Calvin. I mean, squad depth, absolutely, but not to start games for 30 40 games a season now.
No, I think we definitely need to resign ourselves to thinking at the end of this season, I think it is safe to assume that Raphinha will be sold. Calvin Phillips he'd be given a substantial improvement on his contract with a long length and probably a big contract release clause the way Grealish had. You know, I can imagine that. And if we sold Raphinha for a decent amount, we're able to maintain Calvin Phillips, make him the captain, whatever it takes, and bring in maybe another 2 or 3 quality players.
Absolutely.
You're going to be saying, Raphinha, thank you so much for what you brought to our club. Good luck at PSG.
Yeah, go on and achieve. Fine.
Because I can't see anyone in the Premier League being able to afford him.
Yeah, I really hope it's not another Premier League team. I think that's the only thing I would have. Just when the time comes. I mean, Calvin, in a weird way, like, I'd expect him to go to a Man City. But Raphinha, like, just don't go to Liverpool or anyone like that. Go PSG and be with him.
No, it's all that gloating. It's the gloating from the fans. Oh, we told you he would come to us. We told you last summer he's going to come to Liverpool. He's coming to Liverpool. Losers. Not going to win the league anyway. It's a point being up there if you're not going to win it.
Oh, mate. We're diverting. Liverpool fans, deluded people. Absolutely nuts. The favourite song from the Liverpool game, the Reds have got no money, but will still win the league. Like,
oh, right.
Got £75 million centre-back. Who the fuck, other than Man United, has a £75 million centre-back? But then goes that far to try and say they've got no money. And also is that daft to think they're not winning the league, mate. You're probably not even going to be in the top 3.
No, I think, well, I said before, I think it'll be silly. But we've touched on everything for the match tomorrow. We've completely went off on a big one there about Raphinha. I think we needed to address that.
That needed to happen. I think everyone's been going mad about it on Twitter. So touch on it. I think it's nice to see we're all similar pages.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure.
It's because he's not. It's because he's not a Leeds-born player like Calvin, like Jamie Shack and Sturdy D. You know, believe it or not, Sturdy D was conceived in Headingley. True story. He's not. Like, I was just trying to make sense of this whole Leeds-born nonsense.
I just assumed you were related and knew.
We're a small country, but we're not like all related. I was about to use a word to describe that, but something tells me you'd have cringed your eyes there and shouted at me for monetization purposes.
Is it to do with Norwich?
Sandwiches, like where you make bread and what you put in the bread. Like,
I'm lost. Anyway,
so it's ham and cheese in bread. It's ham and cheese in bread. The sandwich.
Right. Right.
But we need Rhiannon on here to keep us away from these things. Rhiannon, no more 12-hour shifts.
Around this time, we've made it nearly up to an
hour.
We'll
make it an hour.
Yeah, nobody's offended anyone that much. Hopefully, I don't think. If we have,
you said a few naughty words, Philip, and you were very loud.
I do tend to say naughty words, and I am loud.
You are.
That's part of the charm. You either like it.
Is it? Yeah. Is it?
I'm assuming all 3 of us will be back on Sunday for the player ratings. If we are lucky enough to get you all to join us and send in your ratings, obviously, like and subscribe to this video and the channel. We would be extremely grateful. Obviously, the charity event is still ongoing. You can always go on the link, and I don't know if we've got the link on this video. I think we probably do, and hope so.
The link will be up at some point there.
Yeah. Please donate to the Ollie TV Just Giving page, which is obviously for the Leeds United Foundation. We've got another event, obviously, next month that we announced the other day. A wonderful tournament against a load of other, basically, Leeds United fan channels. Your favourites are going to be there. Joe's going to be there. LUFC Lewis. All stats, aren't we? So feel free to donate to that. And if you want to come and have a look, You know where we'll be. But Martin, Scotty, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the game tomorrow, everybody, and fingers crossed for 3 points. And hopefully we'll be back with some positive shit tomorrow night and Sunday.
Definitely.
Any final words from you two guys?
I'll have my post match out straight away after the match is over. So make sure you keep an eye on the channel. I don't know. Oscar has stuff going on before the match and stuff, doesn't he? Or no, just keep an eye on the channel, people. There's going to be loads of content coming out the next couple of days. We're doing our best for you. Thank you very much for getting to 23,000 subs. Yeah. I'm going to be giving away a prize when we get to 25,000 subs. No, you will have the privilege of paying my rent for a year, so that'll be yay! No, but thank you so much. I'm glad. I know me and Martin are both very, very chuffed to be here now, so thank you.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, thanks all for watching, and enjoy the content over the next few days. Enjoy the game.
Bonsoir, everybody. Bonsoir. I haven't pressed